Good morning and welcome to Board Game Breakfast. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Wendy Yee.
I'm Chris Yee.
I'm back from Brazil. Flew in last night. I'm going to be talking about that convention I went to and showing off a lot of really cool games I got there later this week. So we have a lot of things that are coming out this week for sure. We're finishing up our replays, so if you missed the 24-hour marathon or you just want to watch one game, those are going to be going up all week. Later this week, we're going to do a top 10 list that we haven't done in a long time, the top 10 fantasy games. It's been like 5 years, I think, since we've done that.
No good fantasy games have come out in 5 years, Tom.
No fantasy games have come out in 5 years.
That's a more accurate statement.
Sometimes I do not follow your conversations. My number one, Zelda. Tears of the Kingdom.
Number two, Breath of the Wild.
Anyhow, I'm never playing Breath of the Wild again, by the way.
You know what? Our daughter tried playing Tears of the Kingdom, and she's not really played games like this before, and I want to start her with Breath of the Wild, because I feel like Tears of the Kingdom had too much of a ramp up.
I feel like it was harder at the beginning.
She needs more training wheels. Yeah.
Other things, the top 100s continue with 70 to 61 going up this week. In an hour, Z's doing Unmatched Dracula online, so you can watch that. At noon, I'll do a Q&A, and At the Table with Julie Ahern coming out later this afternoon. So a lot of cool things coming from there. Lots of reviews this week, including a review of Darwin's Journey, which we've never reviewed before.
Never.
Correct.
Wait, are we doing that thing that Chris and I was doing just like 2 seconds ago, where we say the opposite of what we meant to say?
Oh, humor. I get humor.
I'll be talking about the best-selling games of May with Game Nerds. And,
Tomorrow, the live play from Forbidden Games.
That's right. We are doing a live play tomorrow. That is Fairies and Magical Creatures. Yeah, there's not a lot of downtime this week. We got a lot of things going on. I got a lot of things to review. But folks, I cannot tell you how many games showed up while I was gone and brought back with me from Brazil. And there's just games everywhere. So let's get started and let's talk about games.
Hello everyone, I'm Stella.
And I'm Tarrant from Maple University and the Dice Tower.
We have a Run this year's game here. This is not a brand new game. This is the second print of The Quest for Eldorado, which is a racing and deck building game. So those two mechanics I love. I love racing games. It's like Mississippi Queen, all the racing games that I can't think of right now, and deck building as well.
It's very neat. It's a very compact little game. It uses, a clever little deck building mechanism. I think there's a lot of there's a few racing games out there which are deck destruction.
Yeah.
This one's deck building, so it can really escalate as
Or like
things go on.
Flamme Rouge. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, deck destruction. This is escalate, but then there is somebody in our group that plays just keep discarding the cards, and then he ended up with like 5 cards only, and then he just like churning in the cards and then won at the end. It must be a good winning strategy, that one.
Indeed, it looks to me like there's a number of good strategies in this game.
Yes.
Really compact, really neatly designed.
My strategies definitely did not pan out. I was pretty sure I was the last player, but anyway, it's not about winning. But this one was done, the art was done by Vincent Dutre, as you can probably see. I really like it. I wish I would have played this earlier in my life.
Indeed.
And that is Quest for Eldorado. Have you played it? What do you think of it? Thanks for watching. Bye.
Today we're taking a look at the Castles of Carcassone.
Definitely not what it's called.
Not
It's called Carcassone the Castle.
That's what it's called.
There we go.
I don't know why there's a lot of games. There's the Castles. Actually, I'm going to look this up now. The Castles of. Let's see how many games there's. The Castles of.
Ooh.
Castle of Mad King Ludwig.
Uh-huh.
Castles of Calera. Castles of Steel. Castles of Dawnstone. Castles of Burgundy. Castles of Tuscany. There's a lot of Castles of Burgundy stuff here.
That's true.
I feel like I was legit in saying the castle. But this is Carcassonne the Castle, which is very distinct because most Carcassones, not all of them, most are designed by Klaus-Jürgen Raid. I believe Leo Calavini designed one. It's terrible. And someone else designed one. But this one's designed by Rainer Knizia, my close personal friend.
That's
I was
true.
like, where's Mike? Should be here.
I sent Mike a picture because I was at the convention. I was a special guest in Brazil, and Dr. Kenichi was also one. So we ate together a couple meals. Like, how's it feel, Mike? I'm here with very, very nice person, by the way.
Never meet your heroes. It's okay.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
We're keeping Mike safe. Is what we're doing.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Anyhow, Reiner Kenichi designed Carcassonne. Why can't I not? It's Carcassonne Castles.
The castle.
Oh, I can't even spell Carcassonne right.
This is great to watch from my side.
Carcassonne the Castle. I have it in my saved research here. Anyway, it does credit Klaus Jürgen Reid with the design. And I always wondered, in fact, I need to ask, I should have asked him when I was eating. Because Dr. Kenichi has always said he doesn't play other people's games, so they don't affect him. But he must have at least read the rules for Carcassonne
Sure.
to know how it plays. Although,
Carcassonne is old enough that maybe he played that before. He was
this is
designing forever
2003,
ago.
this
Never
game.
mind.
This game came out
I take it all back.
like just a few years after Carcassonne. I believe Carcassonne was 2001.
2000 or 2001. Yeah, that's true. This is very
2000,
close.
you're right. So, anyway, Carcassonne the Castle is also unique because it is only 2 players. And it was the first Carcassonne where you did not have to match the sides completely. You had to match roads, but the other stuff didn't have to match. And you built in a frame. There's a frame built for this. As you build, you move on a scoring track. And in moving on a scoring track, you'll get these road tokens, which can be used for like bonuses and stuff like that. And other than that, it's a little Carcassonne-ish. There's different methods of scoring, Reiner Knizia style. When I played this originally, I was very enamored with it. My rating now is a 7.5, but that was not my initial rating. It was very, very high. I still like it, but I really liked it. My review, I said I'll never play Carcassonne 2 players again, which is not true, because that's almost the only way I play Carcassonne with all the expansions. There's too many rules. I'm like, oh, me and my wife are the only people who know all the rules. I'm sorry, but you can't play. There's just too much going on.
When did I play this several years ago? And I remember being a little bit let down because I remember a certain reviewer saying that they would only ever play this version 2-player again.
You did not remember that statement.
No, you've talked up the castle quite a bit, though, so I was excited to try it.
We were excited because we had only ever played the basics with a river expansion, I think. Like, we hadn't done a lot of Carcassonne at this point, and there were a lot to choose from at our board game cafe, and this was the one Chris pulled out. He's like, oh, I heard this one was good. I remember the box was a hot mess. That's mostly what I remember about this, is that someone had basically, like, shook up all the pieces.
Oh,
And
man.
we were like, how do we figure out how to play this?
The biggest problem with Carcassonne the Castle, and I like it a lot, is it had a year. And then they came out with Carcassonne the City, which pretty much killed this game for me. Because Carcassonne the City, which is weird that you said, hey, I hyped this one up so much, I only hyped it for a year.
Sure.
And then I went to the city because the city is more than 2 players. The city has a lot of the same aspects, but instead of having a frame that's already built, you build the walls. And they're physical as you build them around. It also has things that you don't match in. You also put your meeples on the walls. And if I'm going to play a game, Carcassonne the City, and that's not taking away from this. I mean, I'm pretty sure that he played Knizia's version and took the ideas and put them in this game, which seems legit since Knizia was making a Carcassonne game anyway.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, the history of these releases, and it feels so long ago, too, which is wild. 2003, 2004, we're talking about.
This sounds like positive interaction in the board game, making board games.
I think so. Have you guys played The City?
No, I have
No.
not.
The City is my favorite base version of Carcassonne.
Will you only play 2-player The City anymore?
Actually, Carcassonne the City is what I teach new people to play.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, because, well, base Carcassonne is fine, but I think the City is a tighter game because, again, you don't have to match the stuff except for roads, and you get to build the walls, so you will complete things because you can wrap the walls around. It also looks really good. It's easy to understand the scoring because there's not the big farm thing confusion isn't in it.
Yeah.
And so I like it better for all those reasons. I don't believe there's a single expansion for it, too. So I like Carcassonne with the expansions, and I would put Carcassonne with the expansions is my number 2, actually. My number 1 is Carcassonne the City.
Wow.
Then Carcassonne, I like this one a lot, Carcassonne the Castle. Just, again, it just feels like I don't need to play it with the city.
It's like a stepping stone.
Sometimes, yeah.
Next
Sometimes
game.
game design is developmental. It's iterative like that, and sometimes those iterations are better. It's fair. So what I'm hearing, Dom, is that Reiner Knizia is a hack, and Mike Delisio can quote you on that.
That's not what I said. Me, as my good friend, Dr. Knizia says. Hey, Mike. That's the end of the segment.
This is a series where we take a look at a board game based on an IP, and I tell you if the IP and the mechanisms match. Today we're looking at The Hobbit. On your turn, it's very easy. You're going to roll the dice. Now I rolled a 6 and a 1. I can move 6 spaces, I can move 1 spaces, or I can move 7. So you can choose any of the dice. You just want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whatever spot you land on, you do the action of that spot. Now, once you have 8 points from on here with the gems and adventure points, once you have at least 8, and I have one of these Gandalf cards with the symbol, and I get to the doorstep, I can then fight Smaug. Very easy. I'm going to add up how many jewels I have, plus how many adventure points. If I roll less than or equal to, I'm allowed to take a jewel from here. If I fail, I go back to the furthest safe haven, or the closest safe haven that would be on the board, and I'd have to kind of make the adventure back up here. So rolling the dice, the more gems and adventure points I can get, the more likely I am to roll what I need. If you ever get 20, you immediately win the game. You don't need to roll the dice, of course, because you would automatically roll 20, right? Now, Smaug is defeated when all of his gems are gone. Then you add up the points. If you got a jewel from him, you're going to get 5 additional points. You add up all your adventure points plus how many gems you have. Whoever has the most is the winner of the game. While this is one of the worst children games I've ever played, you got roll and move, you got spinners, you got lucky draws, I just never felt like I was in the Hobbit universe. Sure, it has the map, it has words on a card, it has some generic fantasy pictures, and all that kind of builds the world, and it has words, like Smaug, from the book series, I suppose, but I'm not sure kids are going to get into that very much. It just never really brought us into that. It just felt like an exercise in pain, which perhaps their journey was for them, and maybe that's the thing that they're trying to put onto us. But for us, this was nothing really about the mechanisms that matched up with the IP whatsoever. The game wasn't fun to play. This was a huge blunder for us, and there are a lot better Hobbit-based board games out on the market, and this is absolutely not one of them. Yuck.
All right, connecting. I am connected.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, I lost my momentum. I gotta start over.
Here we go. Random game on Board Game Geek. What do we got?
3, 2,
Da, ba, da, ba, da,
1,
ba.
go!
And it is tracking animals, mammals in the rainforest, grassland, and the Arctic.
Wow.
Grab your binoculars and join the Wild Goose team on a tracking animal photo safari. 3 different games in each box.
Ooh.
Which you know means they're
all
good.
Oh, yes. There's
that's-
no year on this.
The Tiger's
hasn't
2
come out
cards. Did you guys, this reminds me of those old,
Zoo books.
no, you used to collect cards of animals. You would collect them. Interesting.
I've never really collected anything.
It has no
There's
ratings
more than one version.
and no
right?
comments.
Wow, this truly is like random. That's amazing. It has nothing.
There's a dinosaur version tracking animals, dinosaurs,
This,
which also has no
this company's best known for
information.
bingo. I'm doing another one that wasn't interesting enough.
All right, here we go. Lock and load.
How does we're only going to get half now because Wendy didn't press her button.
Ah!
Glebdo.
Woo! I am known to be quite the kleptomaniac.
Oh, you better be careful. I don't know what
Yeah.
it means yet. That's not a terrible cover, actually. It looks like almost like the guy says he would draw this as his. This is what the cover will look like.
Like the sketch.
The sketch. Yeah, this looks like the
Yeah.
sketch for a cover.
Yeah.
Those little miniatures pieces look kind of cool.
Ooh.
What is going
What are those
on?
monsters?
That looks like a
Is this Ye Olde Micro Macro?
MC Escher painting.
Okay.
What? What have we found here?
Mystery.
I'm intrigued by this. Ah, those are cool little like.
They're like,
This feels like a
pieces.
very, very indie thing. There's comments. Let's see what the comments say. Very odd game with a weird board, even weirder ceramic playing pieces.
So the ceramics do come in the game.
interesting. They look almost like hand molded,
Yeah.
or they do look hand molded, and then made a mold out of that. And
Tempted to give this a 1.
Nice kitschy figurines is the only positive thing. It looks great, doesn't play great. So this is like an old German game. I kind of want to see a copy of this now.
I know.
It's from the year I was born.
See, one thing that I would love about Board Game Geek pictures is if there was a way to kind of tag them to say like upgrades versus regular game pictures. I don't know what that would look like exactly because I've seen great, handmade pieces and stuff and great upgrades for games and then realize, oh, that's not actually part of the game. But this is.
I agree.
It is, yeah.
I would love to click I wanted 2 filters for pictures. Take out ones with upgraded components, and then ones that are, I don't know what the word for it be, stylistic, or just people/cats, whatever. Like where you're trying to show a funny picture, and that's great. I'm not even saying those pictures shouldn't be in there.
No.
But if you're looking for what the game looks like, they're not very handy.
Interesting. So this says that it's a maze puzzle racing game. Those are the 3 categories it has. Well, plus fantasy.
This might be terrible, but it looks cool. It really looks cool.
I agree. I would mess around with this if I ever, stumbled across it or if some of the convention said, hey, Chris, I know you're interested in Glebdo. And I'd be like, you know what? I kind of am.
I don't know what all the red blotches are. Did someone get murdered in all those spots?
Yep.
Can you
probably.
write on the board? Or are you
Maybe
coloring?
those are oil spills, so you can skid faster. It's a racing game, right?
This really is an MC Escher type thing, I think. Does it make sense?
I really like this perspective. It feels so
It feels labyrinthy.
bizarre. Yeah.
Yeah, like the really trippy
No, it's got to be
optical
MC
illusion.
Escher, I think.
By that you mean not all the stairs make sense, right? There are.
Yeah, I can't tell if they do or don't. Because it's drawn from multiple perspectives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey, there we go. I'm pleased with that. That's a good random game for us to have found.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. Mike says Glebdo is the most underrated of the 7 dwarves. Yeah, even the title, even the name right there, Glebdo, is all from different perspective, the lettering and
This
stuff.
was back when they first did the printers that printed signs. And I'm like, oh, you can change your perspective, and you would change the letters. You're like, that's cool. It doesn't look cool when you print it, but you press print anyway. And this is what you get, with your E looking like that.
Absolutely.
All right, well, that's our random games of the week.
There we go.
Happy breakfast, everyone. Today I'm here to talk to you about Ted Lasso, the party game. Well, it's not really a party game as I would explain it. It's much more a fast, frantic, cooperative game. Effectively, on your turn, you're playing all of one colour card from your hand, and you're playing them onto different characters, which are at various locations around not a map, they're on cards around the table, and you're trying to play the right colours to the different characters to get rid of these trouble tokens, which build up if you neglect someone and don't play believe cards on them and stuff like that. Now, is it a great recreation of Ted Lasso? Not particularly. It could be any theme, but there's some nice touches. If you've seen the series, it's got all the main characters that come out at the different locations. It's got the believe cards and stuff like that you're playing, and it's got the little biscuit box as a storage and useful side thing. I think people that like games like Fuse might enjoy this because it's against a timer and you're having to work together with very rushed communication of, I can do this, what else do I need to do to help you on your turn, that sort of thing. But there's also not too much downtime as you're going around the table, only playing a few cards. Depending on the player count. At 2, you're going to be playing more cards on a turn, so it just feels a bit more impactful, your turns. Whereas at the higher player counts, you're playing less, and it feels a bit more rushed because you've got to do something for you, something for someone else. But yeah, it's an enjoyable, relatively solid, cooperative, frantic sort of experience, and that is Ted Lasso, the party game. Don't consider it party, but enjoy the rest of your breakfast.
Even though the Dice Tower is in major flux at the moment, as we're getting ready to pack it up.
You mean the Dice Tower Library?
What did I say?
The Dice Tower.
Library. You're right. Dice Tower's fine. Dice Tower Library is in major flux right now because we're getting ready to pack it up for East. East is only 3 weeks away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And someone decided to plan a vacation, 2 weeks before.
To be clear, Wendy's talking about herself and not criticizing me. It sounded like you do
No, it was definitely me, yeah.
a passive-aggressive thing.
Oh, that's true, because you just left and then came back. That wasn't vacation, that was work. That was convention.
It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. But yes. But anyway, so what we're still doing a best of the shelf was my lead-in for this. Today's lead-in's too long. Let's jump to the shelf. Today, folks, we're taking a look at Shelf 20D. On the shelf, we have Bad Bones. Many of you maybe and I have heard of this game. It is a tower defense style game with skeletons coming after you. Then we have Attack on Titan, which is a one versus all. One person is the Titan, everyone else is the guys attacking this giant Titan from the comic. Antoine Baza and Ludovic Mablanc. Bob Ross, The Art of Chill game. Apollo, NASA Moon Missions, another cooperative game. Then we have the Risings. Now, there's a lot of different Rising games out there, so I put the two most popular in the library. Thanos Rising and Darkseid Rising. There's also Harry Potter and SpongeBob, but these are the two I think people would play the most, especially since Darkseid Rising is not available in the U.S. The Night Cage, a horror-themed game where you're stuck in, somewhere, and you're all trying to get out. Spooky game. The Captain is Dead is the name of the game because the captain is dead, and you must figure out how to keep the ship around. You might be the janitor or someone else. Then we have 3 games in the 10 Days series. They were originally published by Out of the Box. These 2 were upgraded to nicer versions. I haven't seen an upgraded version of Africa yet. But kind of like, there's a lot of games you're just trying to rearrange stuff. A little maybe like Skip Bow. Not Skip Bow, but anyway, stuff like that. Willy Wonka, Golden Ticket game. Very, very simple game, but better than I expected. Just trying to get a chocolate bar with a golden ticket in it. Summer Camp, a deck building game, but a very simple one, easy to play. Space Invaders. This is a dexterity game where you're trying to flip things on top of the Space Invaders. Fun. The Goonies, Never Say Die. If you like the movie, this is kind of a cooperative game based on that. And the Gargoyles. I don't know how great the Gargoyles game is, but I know some people like Gargoyles, so it's in the library. Okay, so there's a lot of games on that shelf that I think are good games, but there's nothing there that I think is like amazing. So the closest for me to amazing on that shelf is the 10 Day series. I really like those.
Yeah.
I especially like if you combine them, although that's a lot of work. Have you ever played 10 Days?
No, that's one that I've always wanted to. But
Racco is what it's based on, sorry.
Yeah, it's like Racco,
Oh, okay,
right?
good playing Racco.
Yeah.
Fun.
I would have taken your recommendation for it. I was so burned after Carcassone the Castle.
That's fair.
I've burned you many times since then here at the studios. What are you talking about?
The only one I played on here is Summer Camp. The Phil Walker Harding game.
Wait, that's the only one?
That's the only one.
You haven't played any of the Rising games?
No.
I've played Avatar: The Last Airbender,
Rising?
But that's not in...
Firebender's Rising.
Yeah, we played that
Fire Nation
live.
Rising. Yeah.
But that's not... You never put that in the library.
Yeah, but if you played that, you've played
Played all the other ones.
the other ones. There's minor differences, but they all have the
Do
same
they have
thing.
do they have a giant thing in the middle that turns?
Yes.
Okay.
That's like their shtick. Yeah, there's
That's
3
the thing.
locations.
Thanos Rising was the first one.
Well, they don't call it turning instead of rising. The thing turns.
The fact is, Thanos Rising made sense because Thanos was rising in power, and after that, they started. It's like the SpongeBob one isn't even called that, I think.
Plankton Rising. The Plankton one's cute because he has a hamburger. No, I mean, I like Fire Nation a lot, just because I think that there should be more Avatar: Last Airbender board games.
Hey, did you hear there's another season coming or something, or a new show?
Yeah, the original creators are in to do a new animated season or something like that. They were going to do a live action one without
Shyamalan?
Without Shyamalan this time.
Shamagon?
Okay, so yours is Summer Camp.
Yeah.
Yours is a Rising game, or is it Summer Camp? Because I thought you would pick Summer Camp.
No,
Unless you played Goonies.
No, it's definitely going to be Summer Camp. I mean, silly fun, Space Invaders is great, because that's the Space Invaders that's basically flip ships, right?
Yes. The problem with Flip Ship Space Invaders, and I like it a lot, is you can just have a terrible game. You can be like, we missed everything, we all died. But then I guess you just start over.
That sounds like so many other games, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fast cooperative game. But I mean, it's because you are flicking the stuff out, and while that's skill, it's flipping things onto a board is one of those things that you can tell me all day long there's skill involved, and I'm pretty sure it's just luck.
It's the most skill equivalent to luck, I think, out there. Trying to like flick something
So that it
in
lands in the right
air.
space.
Yeah. Have you played Flip Ships, Wendy?
I've not played Flip Ships.
I played it on the cruise.
Yeah, I've watched you guys play it.
Yeah, Camilla taught it to me, and on a cruise ship, it's also a really extra level of fun.
Oh, I knew that was going to come up. Now.
First game we played with Roy on our very first cruise was the one where you're putting the ladders on. It's like
Catch the Moon.
Catch the Moon, yeah.
Yeah.
Also.
We did it right before we departed. I think by the end of the game, we was like,
It was definitely moving,
starting
yeah.
to move.
Jason is correcting you that there's no hamburgers in SpongeBob. They're all Krabby Patties.
Square rectangle.
You know what? I am humble enough to accept defeat when proven correct. Based on a game
Alrighty.
point pick.
Well, there you go, folks. That's the best of the show.
Hey, I'm Jordan. Let's talk about a weeknight game. This is Roll to the Top. This is a roll and write game. It's kind of a classic roll and write game at this point, but this is a new version of it. This is called Journeys, I believe. Journeys, yep. And it's from All Play. It's a recent Kickstarter that delivered a couple months ago. And this one, this production is really great. I mean, if you look at the two original version versus this one side by side, it's a no-brainer. This one is head and shoulders above the original. The artwork is great. It's kind of whimsical and colorful and just really well done. And just tons of maps in here with all the different areas that you're doing. This one has a very simple roll and write engine to it. You are rolling a fistful of dice of all different sizes. You know, you got your D4s, D6s, D8s, D12s, all of that kind of stuff. Rolling a bunch of dice, and you are essentially building your monument or your location from the bottom to the top. Numbers have to go in order, you know, bigger numbers on top as you're building up, or they could be the same. And you're just trying to put as many numbers as you can. First person to fill in their board wins. It has such a, it is so elegant in how the mechanisms come together, and the dice rolling and the choosing of the dice is really, it just feels so pure in its mechanisms. I think this one is wonderful. My daughter May has really fallen in love with this one. It's become one of her favorite games of all time. It's so accessible. There's so many maps in here that keep it fresh. Little tiny tweaks to mechanisms here and there, but really wonderful, fantastic roll and write game. It's a great one. I'm Jordan. Thanks.
So today I looked at the top grossing movies of this year, and the highest one is the Mario movie, shocking everyone. Number 2 is Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, then there's,
Yeah.
but the
Not Little
Spider-Man
Mermaid.
movie is in like the top 20, which
Okay.
surprised
Okay.
me. The first Spider-Man movie, what was it called?
Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse, was kind of a subtle hit at first. It did not blow the doors down. Everyone who saw it loved it, but it was not a must-see thing for a lot of people.
Did it even go in the theaters?
It did. I saw it in the theater.
absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
we didn't watch it till it was on streaming.
Sure, that
I
makes
didn't
sense
know
because
about
you're
it.
like, that's a cartoon Spider-Man. It came out when the MCU was at its height of power.
Yeah.
And it was
really
like, oh,
is.
it's a Spider-Man cartoon movie. I'm sure it's good. But it was really good, that
It was
first
phenomenal.
one.
Yeah.
I do remember the first time I went, I kept like, am I watching a 3D movie? I can't tell. Should I be wearing glasses? Because it took me a while to get used to that animation style.
It is trippy on
Yeah.
the brain, that's for sure.
Because they do it, it's the best way, it's the best I've ever seen someone reading a comic book translated into a movie without it being stupid like panel to panel.
Yeah, that's absolutely. It felt like a comic book as a movie more than anything else I've ever seen. But it did take me about 10 minutes into the film before I just settled in and wasn't thinking about it anymore. By the way, Wendy and I haven't watched this one yet.
Right,
Just-
I'm
just
not
a heads
gonna-
up.
I'm not gonna
That's my
spoil
question
it.
is, does this one have all the exact same art style and everything?
Better, actually.
Like more comic booky or more movie?
It's both. It does the
just
same
more
thing,
smooth.
but it's so well done this time. It's smoother, it's better. Everything about this is fantastic.
But still stylized, right?
Yes,
And
very, very much so.
I think I've heard that there's even more moments of like more artistic styled.
There's some stuff in there I
moments.
was not expecting to see in the movie at all, and I cannot tell you what they are without spoiling it, but I was pretty impressed with a couple things they did. And if you watch it, you know what I'm talking about. So the first one I liked a lot because it was a very good story, and it came so close to the edge of stupidity, and didn't, but still works. I mean, the first one had Spider Pig.
Yes.
It had Nick Cage hamming it up as
Oh my
Oh my
word!
goodness, yeah.
Spider Noir or whatever his name
Right,
is.
but it also had a lot of heart. This
Yeah.
one really doubles down on it. The main big spoiler I'll say about this one, and it's not a spoiler, but I think you should go in knowing this, is that it's part 1 of 2.
Okay, got it.
Oh, okay.
That's because I think that's good to know, because I think otherwise you might feel it's like going and watching Avengers Infinity War. You should know that's part 1 of 2.
I didn't only watch Dune. I thought that it was going to be the whole movie, and we're like mostly through the movie, and I'm like, it's been a long time, and they've gotten nowhere in this book.
Yeah, so you might feel the same
Okay.
way here, but this is a very good end, very Empire Strikes Back end-ish, sort of. You'll see again. It's not spoiling anything, but I would have felt the rug pulled out from underneath me. I think I'd have been like, wait, what? The next one's coming out in March, but it doubles down on that stuff. Spider-Man references everywhere in
That's
the thing.
cool.
Any spider thing that you may have seen in your life, let's say Spider-Man Lunchbox. I don't think that's in the movie. Maybe it might be. Like there's a guy who did 100+ Easter eggs. I went and read them, and I was
Oh
like,
my goodness.
you're right, because that's all in there. So very impressive. It really doubles down on the feels. It had a fairly long intro, and then they showed the credits. I mean, the title, and I was like, oh. It's pretty long movie. It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes or something like that.
It's long, yeah. That's what
And
we
I was
have to-
never bored. I
That's
was never
impressive.
bored. It was really good. The story's good. They introduced a lot of new characters, which I liked. And they really doubled down on Gwen Stacy. She's now just as main of a character as he is.
Wow.
Well, I guess she was in the first one. Even more so in this one.
Yeah, she was kind of introduced partway through, and you got to. She was revealed more as opposed to Miles Morales being clearly the
Yeah,
main
he's still the
character.
main character, but she's definitely right
She's
up in
important.
number 2 in this movie. So a lot of surprises, things that there was one moment I was like, why didn't I catch that? Same thing in the first one. When they revealed the villain in the first one, I was like, oh, yeah, duh. I don't know. I'm amused by all that stuff. So it's a great movie. This is the best superhero movie I've seen this year. Better than Guardians.
Wow.
And I like Guardians a lot. I give this a 10 out of 10. I thought it was
Nice.
that good.
Well, then
It's-
Chris and I are going to skip all of the Dice Tower East prep, and we're just going to go to the movies right now. You cool with that?
Yeah, in fact, you can finish
sounds more
breakfast on your own.
important.
Tomorrow's $5 day.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow's $5 day.
It is. Anyway, yeah, my family's really annoyed that I went and watch it without them. I was like, I didn't think you would care. They went and watched Little Mermaid.
Not
I
a
was like,
blockbuster.
and they're like, no, the first one's great. So, oh well. So now I know. Anyway, fantastic. You should see it.
Hello, this is Oliver, and today I'm going to be talking about an IP that I'm not very familiar with, but my dad is. So today I'm going to be talking about Masters of the Universe, the board game by Simon. So a few things that I like about this game is that, number one, it is a very simple game. For being a big Kickstarter game, it is very simple. It's just like move, attack, move, attack. It's very simple, and I love it. Another thing I like is I think the art looks really good, like on the cards and even on the front cover. Another thing I like is the components are really good. You know, that really cool Castle Grayskull, and the dice are really nice. They're big and chunky, and the player boards have slots for your power and your cards, which I think is amazing. Another thing I like is I like the special abilities, because it obviously gives you an edge on your opponent, you know, and they may not know what to expect. You may be rolling like 5 dice or something like that, which I always love when games do that. But a few things that I don't like is it takes a really long time to set up. Like, my dad's in that room for who knows how long setting that game up. It's like, it takes so long. And another thing I don't necessarily like is I've played both cooperative and competitive, and I think I like competitive more because cooperative, it has this whole villain deck thing, and you have to be controlling your deck and the villain deck, and it's kind of really just iffy, and it takes a really long time. It takes like 45 minutes for it to get your own turn. It's outrageous. But that is all I have today. Have a good breakfast. Bye.
And that's it, folks. Another board game breakfast is over. In 24 minutes, Z will be in with his playing Dracula or playing against Dracula. I'm not sure if he is Dracula or fighting Dracula. Either way, he'll probably win.
Either way, he's going to suck some blood.
And I'll see you guys in 2 hours with a Q&A. So, and then what's happening later after that? Lots of stuff going on. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Wendy Yee.
I'm Chris Yee.
Have
We're
fun
doing this.
feeling old, Mike.